It's time for Washington Fish Side Quest. This episode, Western Washington ice fishing? Hey Washington Fish Questers, Blake here. It's Christmas Day, and the weather outside's delightful, but my urge to go ice fishing is frightful. Us Western Washington ice fishers, we know we gotta travel 3 to 6 hours to Eastern Washington, or at least the Cascades, to get on some safe ice fishing lakes. However, I've been told in my past, I have this vague recollection of someone telling me that I was here in the 60s or 70s, that Offutt Lake, that's in Thurston County, once did have a freeze in one of our harsher winters where it was good enough that you could indeed ice fish on it. Now, I don't know if that's true. Offutt Lake will freeze and get this kind of sheet of ice on it even through like one really good night's cold snap sometimes. So I could see it happening. So, and personally, I've also just seen littler bodies of water freeze on the west side, safe enough to at least walk on. Within 5 years, I was hanging out with my good friends, the Marcells at the Westport Aquarium, and their great family. And even on the coast, there was this little kind of pond we were walking on. It's really more of a storm drain, but it was amazing. They ice skate on it, and that's on a maritime environment. And then I have a buddy named Jerry who lives up in the Black Hills. And he has a little pond on his property. It's a very little pond, I'd say maybe like a fifth of an acre or something, but it also freezes. So I know it's possible, at least on small bodies of water. As far as something you can actually fish, though, I decided to go to the state archives and look up if there is anything like about Offutt Lake freezing, or things of that nature. And here's the things I found. They were all from the Eatonville Dispatch. And so let's go over these articles here. None of them are specifically about ice fishing, but they are about lakes in Pierce County freezing over. So I'm going to read you 3 articles here about Western Washington lakes freezing hard enough, I suspect, to ice fish through. So the first one, I'm going to take you in the Wayback Machine to February 1929. This is Clear Lake. Let's see here. Here it is. As a result of the unusual continued cold spell, Clear Lake froze over for the first time in the remembrance of the oldest inhabitants, and enabled Mr. Names to store away 20 tons of ice for his summer use. So that's a substantial amount of ice. That's not just like a little, sliver across the lake, unless he harvested like the entire lake. Also quite a boon for Mr. Names there, because this was, I'm assuming, the days prior to electric refrigeration being commonly available. Hey, I can actually speak to that. I've seen a Three Stooges short to that effect. And boy, it's havoc getting those ice blocks up like just giant flights of stairs in the summer, I'll tell you that. So at any rate, we know in 1929 that Clear Lake froze over, very, very solid, it sounds like. I didn't find anything in the records again until 1957. And here we go. So this one, let's see, water pipes freeze during thawing period, snow gone. And again, these are all from Eatonville. Okay, so at the very bottom here. During the height of the freezing weather, both Clear Lake and Tanwax Lake froze over enough to give the ice skating enthusiasts a chance for some exercise. So that's very cool. I don't know how safe they were being, but in general, if if a lake is safe enough to ice skate on, it's safe enough to fish on. That said, I've been out on Rose's Lake before, near Lake Chelan, and I've seen some ice skaters be a little risky because I think they feel like if they're going fast enough across the middle of the lake that they'll, they can kind of get away with going on some thinner ice. So although it's not conclusive, those are both decent-sized lakes. They're both Tanwax and Clear are about 170-something acres. They're pretty similar in size. So very good to know. And also, as you can see here, the Eatonville faculty is going to play the Eatonville Lions at the high school gymnasium. So if you've got a time machine, you might want to check that out. Donkey basketball. Yeah. Fun. You all come. I suspect. It looks like he says you all come, but I'm suspecting all you all come. These old ads are great, by the way. Like, just reading the paper, people used to write really well. Like, writing used to be such a... I really like the old-timey writing. And by old-timey, I mean basically anything pre-Twitter. But, yeah. Just if you're ever bored, just go to the Washington State Library and look at the old newspapers and just read some of the articles. There is so much knowledge in there, lost to the ages. At any rate, I digress from the point of the video. So the last article, I'm going to take you to January 1974. I don't know if I have it. I don't see the highlights. So that's a little unnerving here. I found it. So this is kind of weird. So it's a newspaper from 1974, but it's somebody's journal, Joe's Journal by Joe Lauren from 1949. So that would actually mean these freezes occurred in 29, 49, and 57. So that's almost like a 10-year cycle. So that's interesting. Let's see. When Silver Lake, and there is a Silver Lake in Pierce County. There's a bunch of Silver Lakes in the state, but there is one in Pierce. Froze hard enough to walk on in 1949, Joseph Asplund built and launched a sail sled. It had a maneuverable sail, and the little craft could track like a regular sailboat. So that's very cool. Well, then you're right. That was all I could find. But there's quite a bit of mystery around this still, because I don't know if, Clear Lake's a pretty unique lake, and it was it was mentioned twice. So I'm not sure if it has unique freezing properties, because there's a lot that goes into whether a lake freezes when it's actually, sub-zero. So it's, I'm not sure if it's the lakes in the area good at freezing, or if that's just the newspapers that the state library has, because if a newspaper is still active, there's things might not be in the state library. So a lot of it's the newspapers that are discontinued. For instance, you can read the Seattle PI in the state library, but you can't read the Seattle Times. So, and like I said about Offutt Lake freezing, the Chronicle, the Daily Chronicle of Alice Centralia, is still an active newspaper, so I don't believe they're in here either. I would actually have to go probably subscribe to the Chronicle to get access to their archives. So at any rate, there's quite a bit of mystery, but I'll tell you what I'm looking to do here in the coming days. So there you have it, and that was brought on by our current weather forecast. As I said, the weather outside is delightful. And so it's Christmas Day, and as you can see by this forecast here, all the way up until New Year's Eve, we're going to have sub-freezing temperatures. If you include tonight and the morning of New Year's Eve, that is 5 days, because there's 4 in the middle, then the 2 half days of actual below freezing temperature. Now, I think for a lake to have a chance to actually freeze, it would have to have a decent little layer of ice on it by Monday for sure. So, probably going into Monday morning. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know, but I'm going to go drive around to a couple of lakes, and I'll take you with me. Unless it's like a Christmas miracle, I don't think ice fishing will be in the cards, but I will bring my spud bar with me, and I'll test the ice if it exists and if I can, because this 5 days in a row of sub-zero temperature is pretty rare for Western Washington, and I'm going to go to at least 3 lakes, and we'll check it out. Alright, it's Wednesday, 4:30. I'm on my way to Offutt Lake very slowly. By the time I get there, it's going to be dang near dark. The only 2 things I have with me are a spud bar in case there is actually ice to test, and ice picks in case I step foot on the ice and fell through. I don't think I probably will. I'd be surprised if there is even ice. The reason I'm going to Offutt still, though, is 2 reasons. One, this is the story I heard as a kid, so that's, intriguing to me. And then 2, the boat launch area is this kind of little cove, so I could see that area freezing if something's going to freeze. I could see that being the best available ice, and it's, shaded area, that sort of thing. So, look forward to checking that out. A coworker told me a story about Long Lake freezing, which is in Lacey. When he was a kid, if I had to guess, the winter of 68, 69, which is kind of the coldest on, in modern record here in Washington, at negative 48 degrees in eastern Washington that winter in a spot. And he said when he was a kid, there was a winter it froze, and that timeline lines up with it being the late 60s. And it was so frozen. He said it was 6 to 8 inches, and people are in the middle of the lake. I mean, like on frozen ice, you know what I mean? Not like they fell through the middle. I just pulled into Offutt Lake. It's 5 o'clock Wednesday. Tonight's our last good freeze before, the rain's coming tomorrow. So I'm going to go run down to the boat launch here and check it out. All I have with me is my safety picks, for if I was to actually stand on the ice and fall through, which I'd be surprised if there is ice, but we'll see, and my spud bar. Sorry, the footage is going to start getting kind of grainy just because it's so dark out. So this is a spud bar, I've covered them on my channel before, but you use it to pound the ice to make sure it's safe. Ooh, looking at it from here, looks like there is no ice. So Offutt Lake, I guess, just didn't get what it needed to form a cap. Very beautiful, though. Well, I'm glad I didn't run here in the morning, that's for sure. But I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and test the thickness anyway of the spud bar here. Alright, let's see. Okay, that's about 0 inches. Look at these icicles here on the house. Some are, I'd say, over 3 feet long. Pretty easy. Yeah, that one.
I think this is the biggest one.
Russell put one in the freezer already. Unfortunately, I'm calling today off to go fishing because it's just the roads are too bad. It's just not worth the danger of trying to go to a couple other lakes. So I mentioned Long Lake yesterday, that my mother-in-law sent me a picture. Here's the picture that she texted me. And as you can see, there's quite I'm not sure how many, meters or feet, that is into the lake as far as the ice goes, but that's not a bad little shelf of ice. I would love to just, for curiosity's sake, at least go, spud bar the side of it and see how thick it got. So today, my plan, I'm actually leaving the house solely to get some steaks for New Year's Eve celebration. Then I need to come back because Russell and I are going to build a snow mountain. Here's Snow Mountain last year. We actually really do love the snow, so we try to make it stick around as long as we can, so we like to build a snow mountain. We already got a pretty fat snowman base that we did last night, so at any rate, I don't plan to be out all day today, trying to fish. So I am going to swing by Hicks Lake, though, and test its ice. My mother-in-law sent me another text, and it looks like Long Lake is dang near frozen, over, at least from her view. All right, I am walking to Hicks Lake. Hicks Lake really is a nice little lake for its size. I like it for its spiny rays. It is a fun fact, my good son Russell caught his first fish here when he was 2. I think I posted that up on the channel at some point. So that's a special place in my heart. I'm seeing open water as I approach it, though, so let's see how it is. Well, that's not too good. 100% open, not even just a little bit of ice on it. So beautiful view of the mountain, though. Probably won't come through too good on my camera, but nonetheless, nice little reward. Well, today's the day. If it's going to happen, it's going to be today. And here I am at Long Lake. Oh, boy. Yeah, and it got really cold last night, too. So, where my mother-in-law lives is near a narrow part of the lake. Unfortunately, I can't access it to test that ice because there's just a bunch of homes on it. I figured the lake would be pretty wide open, but, it seems to be 100% open. But I was hoping that maybe I could walk along the shoreline if there was, some decent ice, but, woo. Well, bummer. But while I'm out and about, I might as well go check out Clear Lake that I kept reading about, earlier in the video. And Clear Lake is completely open. So I'm gonna go check Tan Wax, which is just a little bit away. They're really close, and then call the video. And Tan Wax is wide open. Well, I guess I learned this week that those historic Western Washington lowland lake freezes are just that, historic. It might be ages till we see the likes of that again. I was hoping to at least find some ice to, punch with the spud bar, but what are you going to do? Oh well, I will see you over in Eastern Washington, that's where I'll have to go to get on some ice, and do some ice fishing. Thank you so much. See you next time on Washington Fish Quest. Swung by Lake St. Clair on the way home, and just a thin layer of ice. But, it's like slush.